Hey guys, so we are live. This is your host, Parvin Dabas, and we have Jitendra Khare of Team Evolution, head coach, and Team Relentless and Evolution Gym. Sorry, I get those two mixed up sometimes. Maybe you should call your gym Relentless Gym as well. Hey? But anyway, so let me get that right again. Team Relentless head coach and Evolution Gym, which is going to be back soon. Now tell me, before we start talking about UFC Vegas 5, which was really a nice night of fights. I've read some conflicting reports about whether gyms can open or not on August 5th. So what is the actual thing? Are you guys opening? What's the actual rule?
So two things, I'm going to leave it till August 5th to decide, because what we've seen in Mumbai is we wake up one morning and we realize what the rule is.
Yeah.
So I believe we are not allowed to start till the 31st, but there's just too much chatter on social media. So I think I'm going to leave it for now. Also, what we had decided was that even if it does start on the 5th, we are going to give it, at least like 10 days, 12 days for things to, settle down, because what we've normally seen is that, one fine morning you wake up and suddenly government's like, oh, cases have gone up, let's shut down again. So I think even if the thing does happen on the 5th, which I find highly doubtful, we are going to give it till at least the 17th, if not the end of the month, to start.
Okay. Well, again, all the best, because it's not that far away.
Yep.
Even if it doesn't happen on the 5th, then 31st. I mean, there's light at the end of the tunnel now, basically.
Looks like.
Looks like it as of now. So let's hope things are all under control and everything happens and opens well. Now, coming to this night of fights, UFC Vegas 5, there wasn't a lot of hype around this night, but it actually turned out to be a really entertaining night of fights. We do post our predictions on Verdict app. There's a Verdict app. You can follow us, MMA India Show and J-Rock's predictions, of course, and who he thinks will win. Last time he got all of them right. This time it was, I think, 50-50 because there was a lot of unpredictable fights. So like I said, you can follow us on Verdict app as well, MMA India Show. Now, the first fight, of course, there was a fight which got cancelled, Kevin Holland versus Trevin, Giles. I think there was some post-weight cutting issues. And just literally before the fight.
We're just ready to walk out, and Trevin fainted, and so the commission decided to take that fight off the card.
Yeah, which is the right decision. You can never put the fighters...
100%.
If you're in that condition just before the fight, then obviously you're in no condition to fight.
Yeah. I mean, anything can happen in the cage, once the lights come on and, adrenaline is high, you don't really know what can happen. And at that point, any blow to the head could be fatal.
Yeah. So the first fight of the main card turned out to be Bobby Green versus Lando Venata. Now, on a Verdict app, we had Bobby Green winning, and even our in-house predictor, J-Rock, he had a Green winning, and he was the betting odd favorite. Well, he wasn't the betting odd favorite, actually. He wasn't, sorry. He was, Lando Venata was the betting odds favorite at 1.61, and Bobby Green was 2.30. So anybody who bet on Bobby Green made some money tonight. And so this fight, I'll tell you, I always look forward to Lando Venata's fights, because for me, whenever I think of Lando Venata, his fight against Tony Ferguson stays in my mind. In which in the first round, he had Tony Ferguson on the ground, in all kinds of trouble. So that fight, whenever I think of him, that fight always stays in my mind. The new age martial artist who can get you from anywhere with anything, against Bobby Green also. Now, these are both new age martial artists, whatever that means. We know, old school, new age. There's a couple of guys, Rodriguez, like that, who fit in that kind of definition. Now, this was a really entertaining fight, right till the end. There was a couple of times where they both, got each other at the same time. They're both always trying to slipping in, slipping out, and trying to get in strikes and kicks from odd angles, unpredictable. What was your you can say, view of the whole fight as such?
So I think it was everything you hoped from this rematch. I think obviously the difference this time was that Bobby Green had a more dominant performance than last time, and last time with Venata being deducted a point for an illegal kick.
Yeah.
But this time I think it was a very clear-cut win for Bobby Green. And the surprising fact is that Bobby Green had retired at one point and now come back, which was really, it's really good to see the mindset that he came with. It was very clear that he wanted to get this win and he wanted to get that, the draw out of, the record. But
Yeah.
very, very exciting fight. I mean, at any point of time, it was like either one of them could have finished it. And I think till the third round, in the third round, I think Bobby Green just took it away.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And Bobby Green, of course, seemed the more. Initially, I think he was trying to counterpunch, but then he became slowly through the second and third round, he became the aggressor.
So I think he saw the momentum shift at the second round. And I also think his corner must have told him that, look, it's one round apiece. You need to win this to win the fight. So I think that changed his game plan in the third round. And
Bobby Green's.
Yeah. So if you look at it, when you get the momentum on your side, especially after the first round has been closed and the second round, I thought went to Green decisively.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think with that, when you're coming into the third round, you want to keep the momentum going, especially, if your corners told you it's one round apiece, let's get this one.
Yeah. So because I also felt there was a point in just the beginning of the third round where I felt, listen, Venata has to finish this fight to win. Yes. He has to finish him to be able to win, because Bobby, you could see, was psychologically also, the one jo Hindi mein kehte hain ki bhari pad raha tha uske upar. He was the one with the momentum. But of course, with a guy like Lando Venata, you never know, because they're also, there's a lot of counter punching going on there. You never know what's going to happen. But a really entertaining fight, and Bobby Green did. You can say, especially the second and third round. The first round was much more even, but the second and third round, he did, very convincingly win that fight. There was no, you can say, decision mein koi duvida nahi thi. Let's call it that. Now, a lot of guys are tuning in. I want to say hi to Jayesh Chitalkar and Viraf Singh, who are saying hi to us. Now, the fight after that was Randy Brown versus Vicente Luque, and both we got it right on the verdict app, and J-Rock also got this fight right. He said Luke will finish Randy Brown outright, and Vicente Luque was the betting odds favorite. He was 1.52 and Randy Brown was 2.59. Again, now, if we look at this fight, it's obvious that Vicente Luque had studied Randy Brown, and he knew his jab was the dominant force, and he needed to neutralize that. And of course, he went for his lead leg shin. And he very successfully did manage to keep him off balance then, because he had Randy Brown then thinking all the time. He wasn't able to really launch his jab off that front foot. And if you saw, he was trying to change his stance now and then. So do you think that one strategic move was what kind of caught Randy off ground and won Vincent the fight eventually?
So I think, yes, it did. But, surprisingly, if you watch the second round, at a point you thought that, Brown was making a comeback in the fight.
Yeah.
The first round was a, Luque round. And, at second round, till the point that knee happened, I felt that Brown was making a comeback in the fight. And I was looking forward to a very interesting third round. But, I don't know whether it was Brown who got tired, because if you see, he was weaving well. But at that point, he weaved very lazily, and he got caught in the front headlock, and then the knee happened, and just 4 seconds before the round could end, it got finished. But I thought that Brown was making a comeback in that round. But what we've seen in the past with Luque is that the pressure he brings tends to break his opponents, and I think that's exactly what happened. He though Brown was able to get back his own on the second round, but the forward pressure of Luque, I think, tired him out and broke him there.
And one thing I want to say about Luque is something that the commentators also said, and I noticed, is he is very efficient with his movement. You know, some fighters you see are really, you know, always trying to dodge and this and that, but he's very efficient. He conserves his energy for the right moments, but at the same time not being a stable target. You know, it's not like he's in one place, but he's very efficient but unpredictable. You want to say something about that?
So, we've seen with Luque that he's very calculated.
Yeah.
He's very calculated in his fights. You know, even if you saw the TUF he was in, he had a very close loss in the semifinals to, if I'm not mistaken, it was Haider Hassan. And but if you see his graph, even with Mike Perry, where I think it was with Mike Perry, there's always a slugfest involved. But he's very calculated with what he does, and he's always thinking, and he's a very smart guy. So I think that strategy also paid off in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was again a really entertaining fight, because you always felt, that Randy Brown, like you said, he was starting to make a comeback, that he would be able to, start.
Yeah, till that point, I gave the second round to Brown, and then just like last 10 seconds, everything fell apart.
Now, what do you think of the ending in the terms? Because it did seem to be clean, but because the way it happened so fast, at that moment, you couldn't tell, because his hand, when he actually got that knee connected to his head, the hand did seem to be off, but it seemed to be touch and go as well. So
no, it was definitely off. I felt it was definitely off. And Luque made it. I think Luque consciously lifted him up, kneed him, and the moment he dropped him, you make out that he stepped back to get enough range to punch him. So I think Luque was well aware of that.
So again, that was a really smart move on Luque's part to make sure that his hands weren't touching. Like you said, also he was very aware of the fact. It's not like that. He was very aware, lifted him up a little, kneed him to the head, and then finished him off.
Very it was a very clean finish, and very once again very thought of and very calculated.
Yeah, absolutely. Now coming to the third fight of the night, which was Joanne Calderwood versus Jennifer Maia. Now we had on Verdict app, and also J-Rock had Joanne Calderwood winning, and it was kind of even on the betting odds. Jennifer Maia was a slight favorite at 1.59. Joanne Calderwood was 1.65. Though, of course, we thought Joanne Calderwood would, we as in J-Rock and our Verdict, who our in-house Verdict app predictor, Calderwood would defeat Jennifer Maia. Now, tell us, before that, just tell us a little about both of their styles, and then we'll get into the finish as well.
So actually, even I got that fight completely wrong. I was talking to, Professor Carlos, who's now in Rio. So obviously it was night, and we were chatting, and we both were very confident that Joanne's going to win that. And, so at one point, we both were like, yeah, I mean, it's a risky fight for her, instead of taking the title fight, taking a fight like this. But somehow we both felt that she would manage to finish Maia anyway. But yeah, we got that completely wrong. So, if you see, Jennifer Maia has not been a pushover. She's been the Invicta champion. If you see her last few fights, she is very scrappy. But I have been lucky to see Joanne right from the time she fought in SFL. So I was cage side officiating, and she has a very impressive style. Not just standing up, even on the ground. Her Muay Thai is very good, and her ground game also is has we've seen time and again submit people on the ground. So it was, yeah, I can say it was quite surprising the way the fight went.
Yeah. Now, tell me one thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Jennifer Maia is winning, it seems to be like a Muay Thai style slightly.
Parvin, can you repeat yourself?
I saw you finished her via armbar.
Parvin, can you repeat yourself?
If I'm wrong, that's what is true. language, everything seems to be Muay Thai.
Sorry, Parvin. Yeah, I've just got you again. There was a network issue. Can you repeat
Okay.
that?
Yeah, sorry. I'll just repeat that. I think people would have heard as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Jennifer Maia has a Muay Thai kind of body language, you know, strong. Is that how you read it as well?
So, Parveen, a lot of disturbance there, but I believe what I heard you say was that you feel that, if I'm not mistaken, Jennifer Maia has a very wild kind of a style. Is that right?
No, I said Muay.
Parveen, really can't hear you anymore.
I sorry. I'm going to put it on the chat here as well, so you hear me. I said Muay Thai. Sorry, guys, a little.
Right. So
I just put it in the.
it was the other way around. I believe that Joanna had a more Muay Thai kind of a style, whereas if you see Jennifer Maia's head movement, she looked more like a boxer compared to Joanna, and I think that is why she was more successful in landing her power shots, because Joanna's head was right there, because of her Muay Thai stance. She stands very tall, and that head movement is limited.
Yeah. Okay, now tell us a little about the finish. How did she transition into that armbar? Because Joanne Calderwood put her a knee on her face, or her shin rather, shin or knee on her face, and tried to get out of it as well. Now tell us how you saw it. What did Jennifer do to execute that armbar?
So I think if you watch, the whole armbar in a slow motion, she did every detail right. So the moment Joanna was pressuring her with a shin on the face and making her look the other way, she kind of forced her to roll towards the side her head was going. So that way she could keep the pressure on the arm. And even when the roll happened, if you see, she kind of got up and pulled the arm back in again instead of just trying to get her hip up and trying to break the arm. She very patiently pulled the arm back in, and then she put it under her armpit to get that extra leverage, as she raised her hip. And I think by then it was too tight. Her hip was deep in Joanna's armpit, and I don't think there was any way of escape after that.
So that was more or less the classic way somebody would execute an armbar.
Yeah, the perfect way to stop any counters and any escapes.
Yeah. So do you feel she now deserves, because of course Joanne Calderwood would have called for a title shot after this, do you feel she deserves to fight Valentina Shevchenko, and do you think she has the weapons to face somebody like a Valentina Shevchenko after this?
I personally feel she needs either to fight Caitlin or Cynthia Calvillo before she fights Shevchenko, because one, we don't know how long Shevchenko is going to be out with her injury anyway. And I think she needs to get one more fight to be able to challenge Shevchenko for the title.
Okay, fair enough. Now coming to the main event, which was Edmen Shahbazyan versus Derek Brunson, which we had, and probably everybody had Edmund winning for, he came with a lot of hype around him, that he's going to be a title contender. Ronda Rousey protege. He's been, he was her sparring partner. We saw some footage of him sparring with her for like a media live event as well. And Derek Brunson, unfortunately, always kind of the underdog. I do feel that there's something about Derek that people always try support. They kind of what's the right word? Angrezi mein. They undervalue him. Let's put it at that. Because he does have a lot of skills, and he's shown it as well. He's defeated a lot of high level opponents, but there is some reason. But like I said, coming into this fight, Edmund was the betting favorite. I think he was about 1.25, and 1 second, let me just see this. And yeah, and Derek Brunson was 3.72. Which if you look at it, that's a big difference. And we had on our verdict app account, we had Edmund winning, and J-Rock also predicted Edmund would win. And because, like I said, there was a lot of hype about. Do you feel, because when you saw the fight, one did think, why is there so much hype around him? Do you think the big stage got to him, the title event? Do you think it was a case of nerves and not being able to fully let go, or do you think it was just that Derek Brunson, like he usually does that in the first round, but in this first round he did stay back a little, to kind of suss out what Edmund was going to do. He probably knew Edmund was going to counter. He stayed back a little and not, didn't force the pace as he usually does in the first. And then second onwards, he came on much stronger. As we saw, he almost finished it at the end of the second round itself. So what was my original question? Where did I start this? I fucking went off on a counter somewhere. So anyway, so do you feel Derek Brunson is overlooked? Let's say that sometimes his skills, and he did bring them here. And also, what I was starting was, did it seem also like the stage, the main event, that Edmund was perhaps not ready for this, and he's a young guy, he'll come back. But do you think it was also a case of not being able to let go because of nerves and blah blah blah?
So I think luckily this one I got right, and I had I knew. If you see Brunson after changing his camp and going over to Henry Hooft, has changed his approach, and it has made a lot of difference to his fighting style also. And yeah, like you rightly said, Brunson has been somebody who's been overlooked. He's fought the who's who of the middleweight division, and I even thought he won against Anderson, but he that fight went against him. And when we now look back at the record book, all we see is a loss to Anderson. But that was a really close fight, and I saw Brunson winning that. But I think for somebody like Edmund, this is a good learning experience, because he just fought somebody just above him in the ranking, and not like way above him in the ranking. So the risk of losing your rank is less. But obviously, I think he somewhere was ready for the Derek Brunson that would come out charging in the first round, and that didn't happen. And that I think that did make a lot of difference. And if you see, ultimately it was that the Brunson was the fitter fighter, and he was the one who, at the start of the third round, was fresher, and he almost finished him in the second round, and then just carried it to the third round and finished the fight.
So it was more perhaps that I think Edmund had already kind of fought this fight in his head, whereas Derek Brunson was actually there more. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you over visualize a fight and what you're going to do, and that doesn't happen, and you're not fully prepared. Like you said, Edmund was probably ready for the Derek Brunson that we usually see. And then when that didn't happen, I think that maybe threw him off guard. Whereas Derek was actually present there in the moment, in the fight, actually reacting to everything happening. Whereas Edmund was still in how the fight should have been.
So, like I said, Parvin, I think it also makes a difference. The experience counts, and also, the kind of corner you have, their experience counts. So, I think, like I said, going into train with Henry Hooft and guys like that has changed, Derek Brunson. And like he very rightly said, he's no more the gatekeeper. And for all we know, this could be his run at the title.
Yeah.
So, I think, like you rightly said, yeah, Edmund kind of had visualized the fight and how it will go, and because it didn't go his way, he couldn't change on the feet. So there's something which my one of the coaches that I trained with, Professor Andy Wang, used to always say that never look back at old fights and go in thinking that that's how your opponent's going to fight, because if you're improving, so is he. Always expect your opponent to be better, because game plan is thinking.
Yeah, plus also he knows that you are probably looking at the tapes and are preparing for a certain kind of fighter. So you also know that you can throw him off by not doing what he is expecting you to do.
Yeah, or not doing what you've been doing all this while. Up your game. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I think that's what Derek Brunson did. I think he fought really well. Like I said, in the moment, took advantage of every opportunity. I, 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 I didn't. I think Edmund is a really talented fighter, but unfortunately, that talent was not on view today. I think it was an off night for him. He needs to go back, uh, uh, relook at a lot of things.
So I also think, Parveen, the middleweight division, like I said last time, also is a very steep climb.
Yeah.
If you see, the middleweight division is one of the most exciting divisions. Now with Robert Whittaker lined up to face Jared Cannonier, Darren Till in the mix, and Yoel Romero. It's going to be obviously, with age on his side, Edmund has a long time to stage a comeback and improve.
Yeah, but I have to say, if you want to be counted as a potential contender, you have to the fight should seem like competitive till the end. It didn't seem as competitive as it should have been to be counted amongst the contenders. I think this is gonna kind of push Edmund to the back of the line. Like you rightly said, the middleweight division is out there that you need to get, but you have to show that you have the potential to get through them as well. And one didn't see that today with Edmund.
Yeah, so I think Edmund's got a lot of time ahead of him, and he's only going to get better off this fight. I'm sure he's only going to get better off this fight. Fighting somebody as experienced and as tough as Derek Brunson is only going to improve him.
Yeah,
and I'm sure we will see Edmund back, and I'm sure he'll be able to get in some big wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we wish him all the best, and I have to say, this morning was a little better than the last morning where we had to wake up. I missed a couple of the first fight and a half, but today I woke up on time because it was starting at the main card was starting at 6:30 and not
5:30.
5:30 because they were in Dubai and this Vegas. They're going to be, I think, in Vegas for a couple of weeks now, so it's going to be at 6:30 itself. I think I am looking forward to the 7:30 starts because on Sunday morning you get that extra hour, and that extra hour is like fucking gold. You know what I mean? That extra hour, because then you can wake up at 7:15, brush your teeth quickly, get a coffee ready, and start watching the fight at 7:30. That 7:15 is like a sweet spot. You know what I mean?
You get out of the bed, you fall on your sofa, and you start watching the news.
Yeah, because like 6:30 is still 6:15 alarm. You're like, But listen, we're all crazy about MMA. We're passionate about it. You of course are. This is your career. You're head coach at Team Relentless, and it's great to have you with all your technical expertise and knowledge. And at the end, I do want to say, of course, it was a really entertaining night of fights, morning of fights, of course, for us here in India, which is you didn't expect that from this card, or even though there were some really good fighters on this card, like Lando, Venata, Bobby Green, Luque, Joanne Calderwood, Jennifer Maia. All of these the main event fights were really good, and they turned out to be so as well. So it was worth waking up at 6:15 in the morning and worth talking to you. So thanks again, Jitendra, for waking up and chatting with us and giving us all your technical know-how. And we hope to catch you soon again with the next round of fights.
Thank you for having me once again. And this was just the right time because I'm again going to be kicked out of my hall. So
Okay. Great. Just as everybody is waking up in the back, and we can start seeing people wake up and they're like, here he is again in the computer. And so,
so
kya chal raha hai? So before you get kicked out on live stream on the MMA India show, we will aapki izzat bacha ke rakhenge, and we will tune off here. So thanks everybody for tuning into the MMA India show. This is your
once again
and Jitendra Khare from Team Relentless and Evolution Gym. Anybody in Bombay, especially around the Bandra, Khar, Santa Cruz area, Evolution Gym is a really amazing gym to go to, especially if you like to train in MMA. We all watch UFC, तो वो शौक भी चढ़ता है यार कि MMA में train करना है. So he is the guy to go and train with. The amazing trainers, amazing fighters over there who you get to rub shoulders with and train. Amazing space. So even I look forward to coming and training when it's open again. So take care, Jitendra, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Take
Bye.
care. Cheers and goodbye.